Back on the News VPN, thanks for staying on. Earlier in the week, the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria ruled that regulations limiting access to the 370 Rand a month social relief of distress grant are unconstitutional and invalid. This comes after the hashtag Pay the Grants campaign and the Institute of Economic Justice challenged the government's SRD grant regulations, arguing that these rules exclude millions of potentially eligible South Africans. For reaction on this, I'm joined now by Tebogo Mashilompane of Save South Africa. Good to have you, Tebogo, and thank you very much for your time. Does this not then not open this particular social relief of distress grant to abuse and manipulation by those who otherwise are having means of other income?
Yeah, it does, but we need to also put the responsibility on those who are supposed to make sure that there's no abuse in that. Because, and at the same time, you know, it is also not easy to abuse it unless if there are people within the system that are assisting to people to abuse the system. Because remember, these people have been traced, the bank account have been traced and so forth. So the abuse, if there's an abuse, if there's people who are received without not having supposed to receive the money and then they receive it, it means that the people inside are actually assisting them.
So the monthly checks which are conducted by SASSA, are they not precisely what you were challenging in or at least was being challenged in this court case?
Yeah, but what was challenged was the access. You know, the whole point is on the access. The challenge was that a lot of people are poor and they cannot access the grant simply because of the rules and regulations that are put in place. Because I'll give a simple example. If there's money coming into your account, you do not qualify for the 370, despite the fact that the money comes from somebody who is assisting you. So the system says no, because there's money coming in your account, it means you do not qualify because you're already above the means test. Some get 800 from people assisting them, and then they'll be saying, no, you can't get the money. So that was the bottom issue, to say access. People must access. Even the judge said, you know, there are 18 million people who are supposed to receive these grants. But because of the regulations that are put there, they make it very difficult for people who are supposed to receive the money. And then at the same time, you find that those who are not supposed to receive the money, they are receiving it. Hence, I'm saying they have been assisted by those that are in the system, because the system does not control itself. It is controlled by human beings who punch IDs and numbers and transfer the money. And then we've seen this before, that there's a corruption happening in when coming to issues of grants.
Yeah. So how do you then suggest that the agency then shields itself, insulates itself against double dipping? I mean, we know that, for example, there were people who were employed who were able to get this 350 SRD grant during the time of COVID.
True. You're actually supporting what I'm saying, to say the people who are corrupt in the system need to be dealt with. Because myself, I do not qualify for 370. But if I get it, it means there's somebody enabling me to get the money. So who is that particular person? That person works directly inside SASSA, who is able to play around with the system and give me the money. So what we should do is, we've got SIU, we've got a lot of agencies that can deal with this particular matter to investigate those who are corrupt. So the people who make it possible are the people who are working with the system. So we need to deal with such particular people.
Now, there are those who would have argued that, look, the SRD grant was supposed to be a temporary measure, and it should not be expanded beyond what it was meant to be, because in that way, it undermines the broader work that needs to be done to eradicate poverty. And there should not be an over-reliance on this SRD grant.
No. Even the court rejected that. It said, and we also support what the judge said, because the issue is people are poor. We've got a high rate of graduates sitting at home. And then they graduated, but they cannot find job. They can't apply because to apply, you need data. Sometimes they want you to fill in the Z33 or Z whatever they call it. You're supposed to do that. Sometimes you have to go to the interviews. How do you go to interviews without having something? So we support the SRD to say it has to stay, it has to be there as long as the poverty level is high, more people are unemployed, more people are living in poverty. That means that we need a government that is decisive to say we need to get rid of poverty. But how do we get rid of poverty? We need to put money in the hands of the people. Let the people circulate this particular money. In return, this money will go to tax. And then at the same time, what we are arguing, we say, when you give people money, don't just give them money, but at least provide them with a skill to say, we are giving you the money, but also providing with a skill that you can stand out there on your own and do something. I'm not talking about the skills that are on paper, the skills that are practical, to teach somebody something to do for themselves. Of course, out of 100%, we don't expect that 100% of people will go through the skills and maybe start their businesses. But that 20% of people who are going to start businesses will be out of the system. They'll be out of that economic cycle of poverty. And then they come out there and begin to start businesses. And they'll come back and fetch these ones who are receiving the 370. And in addition to that, we are saying even 370 is ridiculous. It is below poverty line. We advocating for 1,500 people. At least give some people a decent money that they can do something about it. Because if you train me and say, I'm training to become an entrepreneur, I'm giving the skills and I'm also giving you something. You are able to stock if you want to sell products and take the money and sell products. You want to stock tomatoes and vegetables, you can do that. You want to start a graphic design, you can buy a laptop and start designing for people. So we are saying give people decent money. Of course, it's not decent, the 1.5, but we say at least it's something rather than the 370 that they are giving. So this issue of temporary is out of question. People are poor, people need money.
Tebogo Mashilompane, appreciate your time. Speaking on behalf of Save South Africa there.